Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Hari
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So welcome to the chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita. And we are going to... Last week we read the whole of the chapter 6. We read just the English of it. So today we're going to go a little bit deeper. And we're going to read some of the translations and purports by Srila Prabhupada. And I'm going to ask different people to read a few verses, but you have to read out loud because I'm not sure it's kind of online as well, so you have to speak loudly. I'll read the first verse. We'll read 5 altogether, and then we go back on them. We may stop in between if there's any questions or any little discussion points, and then at the end of the 5, then we'll also discuss a bit further. So chapter 6, everybody ready? It's the same as mine. It's 275. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Anashita Karma Phalam Karayam Karma Karotiya Sasanyas Se Chayogi Cha Naniragnya Chachakriya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic, and not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. And in the purport. In this chapter, the Lord explains that the process of the eightfold yoga system is a means to control the mind and the senses. However, this is very difficult for people in general to perform, especially in the age of Kali. Although the eightfold yoga system is recommended in this chapter, the Lord emphasizes that the process of karma yoga, acting in Krishna consciousness, is better. Everyone acts in this world to maintain his family and their paraphernalia, but no one is working without some self-interest, some personal gratification, be it concentrated or extended. The criterion of perfection is to act in Krishna consciousness and not with a view to enjoying the fruits of work. To act in Krishna consciousness is the duty of every living entity, because all are constitutionally parts and parcels of the Supreme. The parts of the body work for the satisfaction of the whole body. The limbs of the body do not act for self-satisfaction, but for the satisfaction of the complete whole. Similarly, the living entity who acts for the satisfaction of the Supreme Whole and not for personal satisfaction is the perfect sannyasi, the perfect yogi. The sannyasis sometimes artificially think that they have become liberated from all material duties, and therefore they cease to perform Agnihotra yajnas or fire sacrifices. But actually they are self-interested, because their goal is to become one with the impersonal Brahman. Such a desire is greater than any material desire, but it is not without self-interest. Similarly, the mystic yogi who practices the yoga system with half-open eyes, ceasing all material activities, desires some satisfaction for his personal self. But a person acting in Krishna consciousness works for the satisfaction of the whole without self-interest. A Krishna conscious person has no desire for self-satisfaction. His criterion of success is the satisfaction of Krishna. And thus he is the perfect sannyasi or perfect yogi. Lord Chaitanya, the highest perfectional symbol of renunciation, prays in this way. Nadanam najanam nasudavim kavitam vajagadisha kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvari Bhavatad Bhakti Tvai. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor to enjoy beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. What I want only is the causeless mercy of your devotional service in my life, birth after birth. So I'm just going to stop there just for a second before we go on to the next few verses. One of the first things that Krishna says is that he's kind of warning us a little bit, because he's saying that there's a process going to be described in this chapter called the Eightfold Yoga process. And Prabhupada says that this is very difficult to perform in this age. You know, even though we're going to talk about it, and the rest of this chapter is going to be about it, he's put in a warning at the start to say this is not going to be very practical in this age, and there's a better system. So you might say, well, why is he putting it in there in the first place? Why is he talking about this Eightfold Yoga system if it's not? But actually, we will see that that it all builds up much more easily. It makes sense. It comes together more clearly. Why Bhakti Yoga is even superior. The main thing that it says is that people perform yoga practice for personal enjoyment, for their own gratification, whether it is for themselves. It says it's personal or extended. Extended kind of means that you're doing something for your country, your family, your nation, the world, you know. And although it's not very popular to say that, okay, that's all very well, but you're still doing it for yourself, you know, even if it's for your countrymen, because you have a war, say, between Turkey and Afghanistan. So I don't think the war is war, so it's a safe example. So there's a war. So the people for Turkey are fighting for Turkey, the people from Afghanistan are fighting for Afghanistan, and they both think that, you know, we're doing the right thing for my people. But that's also illusory, according to Bhagavad Gita. That's we're not any of these bodies. We're not Turkish. We're not Afghan. We're not Irish, English, Spanish, whatever. We're none of these things. So to act in this way for your nation, not always, but most of the time, is it's just bodily identification, and it's for some extent. You want to fight that your situation will be right, but your situation is the same as the other person's situation on the other side. There's no difference. You know, I can say that with easier. If say it was Ireland and England, I might have a slightly more biased view, but ultimately it's not. You know, it's the same thing. There's no difference. So, and the reason that Prabhupada is making this point to begin with is that he's stressing that Bhakti Yoga is without designation, and it is he's making this point about that Krishna is the proprietor, is the supreme proprietor in that sense. Do you know? And so, if you want to really help anybody, you work. And the example he's given is that the limb helps the body. You know, the limb can't go and eat for itself, for instance, or the ear can't go and eat something, you know, or you can't see through the ear or whatever. But it has its function in the body. So it's the same thing. We are in that way as well, part of the Supreme, a part of God. And the way in which we become fulfilled is by serving the whole. And the tendency, though, in this world, and the reason this world is created, is because It's to set up an illusory system where the self thinks that it can be happy by enjoying separately from the whole. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is explaining this. It's that we are individual, but in order for us to understand our complete individuality, we have to understand where we fit in the whole cosmic event, the whole cosmic scheme of event or sphere. And that is that we are part of the whole, we're not the whole. Whereas the world is set up in a way, it's kind of an illusory way to think that we are, separate. And we're kind of like our own mini little worlds like that. So Bhagavad Gita is meant to try to deal with that illusion, whether it is either in ourselves or whether it is collective, collectively in the world. The world functions under that illusion in general because the material world does that. Okay, so that was just one aspect of that was mentioned in the purport. Did anyone comment on anything else, or is there any comments, any questions from that?
I have one. So, as you mentioned that we are in different nations fighting for something, and then so what we are meant to, like I'm son to someone, and father to someone, and husband to as well. So, giving all these responsibility by God, by Krishna itself, and then we are bounded to that as well. So, how a person, is it possible to balance it out everything, or is just to focus on Krishna as a consciousness? What's your suggestion, or what's your take from Gita? How you balance it out, your own responsibilities?
Yeah, I mean, for instance, I'm a married man, I've just had my first grandchild and so on, and I work. So you could say I'm working for myself in that way, I'm working for others. Good phone. So, that's the situation that we're in, that we're finding ourselves in. So this is what you're saying,
Yeah, the reason I asked the question, Arjun was fighting, and Krishna was focusing, you have to fight, but still you have to be with me. So, and Arjun's maybe same question, it's hard to be focused on fighting as well as focused on, Krishna's belongingness.
Yeah, well, the difference is that Krishna asked Arjuna to fight, because that was part of although it seems strange, but it was part of an intergalactic scenario.
Aren't we also the part of that intergalactic? We didn't choose our father.
No, I know that. And so how does that relate to ourselves? But I'm saying that Krishna wanted to intervene at that time. He doesn't always, he rarely intervenes, but he does intervene sometimes. So that particular case he did, and the person he wanted to do the thing for him was Arjuna. So we all have our own things that Krishna wants us to do as well, and especially in this world here, one of the things, I'm kind of getting into lots of different topics here, but one of the things that he wants us to do is he wants us to get out of this illusion. So we have particular, occupations, we're in a particular family and so on. This is where we are by our previous activities from our previous karma, we're in these situations. So therefore we have to pay, we can't just ignore that. That's the situation that we're in. We're in a kind of, I don't want to use the word entangled situation, but it is a situation whereby we have this particular body, we're in this particular family, because of how we acted previously, So the main thing that Krishna wants us to do is not to have any of those designations anymore. But while we're in those situations, there is a kind of a way in which it is designated, which is called bhakti, which Krishna is going to bring about in the next. It's not by not by acting for sense enjoyment, because that's the general tendency. People who says, "Well, I'm here. What am I going to do? I might as well enjoy because I have these senses, and then what else is there to do?" Krishna's saying it's not that. That's not what we do. He's not saying that we can try to think our way into some sort of an intellectual view on the world, and thereby somehow or other suss it all out, and then we will be satisfied. No, he's not. He's saying that's not it either. He's saying that it's not by adapting some mystic potencies by which I can, and there is many mystic potencies which are commented on in the scripture, but a general tendency is a person who wants mystic yoga wants to use it for themselves, for their own enjoyment. But he is saying, finally, that we are here in this world, and therefore while we are performing our normal duties as a parent, uncle, sister, brother, work colleague, while we're doing those, that we're doing them in such a way that they're going to lead us to be designationless in the future, and that is that's a kind of a practical. It's a very, very good question in a sense. It's a practical. How do we do that? There's different ways to do that. But the main way is to practice bhakti yoga, to hear Bhagavad Gita, to chant Hare Krishna. It could be that you use your time to explain Krishna consciousness to others. But we can, like Arjuna, there's one thing about Arjuna. When Arjuna was on the battlefield when he was fighting, he got the order to fight from Krishna. And he wasn't thinking about, oh yes, no, I have to say my prayers at such and such a time, or anything like that. He was right into the activity, he was actually fighting, So if we have the right mentality before we do something, about what we're doing, then we just perform that activity. And that was one of the verses that we did in the last chapter. You have the right to perform your prescribed duties, but you're not entitled to the results of your action. You never consider yourself to be the doer of the activities, and which are in fact carried out by nature. So we perform activities, but we perform them in a selfless way. We perform them as service, bhakti, serving. So each of us in our life, we work out how we can perform our activities in a devotional way. Have you ever heard the Bhakti Yoga before, or Bhagavad Gita?
I've heard of Bhakti, yeah.
Okay.
Like a lot of these terms keep coming up.
Right.
Bhakti Yoga, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I've never sat down and tried to really get a concrete understanding.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have heard of it before.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, because Bhakti is it's kind of like whatever we do, we do it as a devotion. We do it as in a way, and this is the amazing thing about Bhagavad Gita, is that there is a supreme source of everything. We are kind of part of the supreme, but we're not the supreme. And it's not like this world is some sort of impersonal oneness that just happened by chance, for instance. That's a kind of a background to the whole philosophy, basically. And Krishna, who was speaking Bhagavad Gita, he appeared 5,000 years ago. Did you ever know Krishna before, or who Krishna is?
Lord Krishna, is he kind of like Hare Krishna is what, like maybe Jesus is to Christians?
Similar.
So I mean, I don't like to make comparisons.
No, it's a reasonable comparison actually. Yeah, because Jesus never said he was God. He only said he was the Son of God.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, he was the supreme servant of God in that sense. So, and he was the greatest example, or one of the greatest examples ever of somebody who served God.
Okay.
So, in that sense, he would be kind of considered to be like God the Father in the Christian terminology, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's the source of everything, or Allah in Islam.
Okay.
You know. Not Muhammad, but Allah. You know.
Okay, right.
So the background is that ourselves, our situation is that we are we're like part of God, but we're not God. If you know what I mean.
Okay.
It's kind of it's
As in it's one kind of huge ensemble.
yeah. And that's like the example of the body is there, like we're the hands serves the whole body, the eyes are, but we're not. But still, God is a person as well, but He's the supreme person, and we are personalities as well, but we're. So in that sense, it's the whole idea of bhakti is that we're servants of God. You know what I mean? But in this world, our original position is in the spiritual world as servants of God. But because we wanted to try to experience what to be the leader or whatever of God.
Okay.
So this is why this illusory situation was set up, shall we say. So the goal is to perform bhakti yoga so that we get back to our original situation in the spiritual dimension.
Is that kind of connected to like shamanism? They talk about soul lost and soul retrieval.
Possibly, I don't know the particular thing, but we are like a lost soul. Yeah, and we're trying to regain our original position.
Okay.
So, and thank you for asking the questions, because that's kind of gives a bit of a background, because we'll be going on to answer it further.
No, I mean some of what you're saying is, I have encountered with perform like equanimity as well.
Equanimity,
But this idea that it is natural to gravitate more closely to some people than to others, but you also need to be careful with that and mind attachment with that. Like you would have your best friend, or family, or that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But you also need to kind of be careful with how that affects your judgment and how your perception of things.
Very good, yeah, because like Bhagavad Gita, I think everybody knows that Bhagavad Gita, some of the main points are, you're even-minded. Happiness and distress, fame or infamy, honor, dishonor, the kind of the polarities. Because then your judgment will be good, as you were saying. Because otherwise, if you become attached to something, it actually, you cannot see clearly. Now, it's not that we don't become affectionate, because that's the part of the soul is to love God. That's part of our. But the difficulty in the world is that we tend to love other things, and those things are things which we think will make us happy. And we had a whole class on this last week as well about in trying to enjoy our senses. The senses of sight, smell, touch, hearing, and tasting. The soul is in this body. It's like in a machine. And the senses are there, and in this machine, the senses are trying to dictate to us to eat that, smell this, taste this. Now that really does affect our judgment as well. But it goes back to your question as well, because we're in the body, so we have to be kind of even-minded. We're in this situation, so we have to know how to act and react in that situation. So Bhagavad Gita, this is also an answer to your question, is teaching us how to live in this body.
So can I ask, is there a translation of bhakti in English?
Devotion is the closest. Yeah. Devotion. Yeah.
Devotion.
Yeah. Because
I just wanted to ask a question, if it's that okay.
Oh no.
So I was just when you said about devotion or detachment, specifically detachment. So when I haven't read the entire Bhagavad Gita, maybe one day, but there is a part where when Krishna was narrating Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna or Parth, and Krishna already knew that son of Parth, Abhimanyu, will die in the battle of Mahabharata,
Abhimanyu will
Yeah.
tell you about it, yeah.
So even after the telling Arjun that his son would eventually die in the Chakravyuh or the battle, the Mahabharata, the biggest battle, Arjun still cried, he still grieved on the death of his son, okay?
Yeah.
And Krishna was not upset, but he said that even after me telling Arjun that this will happen, he has to learn detaching himself from all the illusions or Maya.
Yeah.
So even Krishna felt like that detachment is the most difficult illusion that we have to overcome in the human body. So if Arjun was unable to detach himself,
Yeah.
so like how we as humans, we are like microscopic in front of those.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to learn about how detachment, because that's the very difficult thing to understand.
One explanation you could give for that is that another time when Krishna had left,
Yeah.
and Arjuna was this great warrior, and he had
Yeah.
fought the whole battle of Kurukshetra, and he defended the whole world against wrong things. And Krishna had asked them to do one activity, which was to bring the queens from Dwarka to Vrindavan.
Yeah.
But during when he went and did that, he was attacked along the way by some mountain bandits.
True.
And previously, Arjuna would have beaten with his little finger, but he lost
His powers, yeah.
he lost his powers, and in the chapter in the Bhagavatam, it talks about how he's completely bereft because Krishna had left.
Gone, yeah.
But then when he met Yudhishthira, he spoke to him all that had happened. But then when he started talking about Krishna, suddenly his whole demeanor changed, and he started to speak about Krishna again, and then Krishna was back present with him.
That's true.
And so it's like that for us in that sense that Krishna is always with us, even if we go through some very difficult times. And I think it's very important for us to understand we are human. It's not that we're, and being human is very special as well.
It's true.
So there is a kind of a natural grieving which will happen, but we don't dwell on it, and we do start to apply the philosophy, start to speak about it, and then we will see, and as Arjuna is saying, Abhimanyu didn't die on the battlefield. He was, he's eternal.
Yeah. Just change his.
The whole perspective.
Yeah.
So I suppose we can forgive ourselves a little bit, whenever these things happen. Because I'll tell you why, because it is a reflection of the emotions that are there in the spiritual dimension as well. Because in the spiritual world, Krishna loves Radha, he loves his mother, he loves his cowherd friends.
Yeah.
They have eternal pastimes together.
Yeah.
They're constantly, it's the world of emotions and feelings. So in that sense, it's a teaching of what it is like there. We can see it like that as well. We get it. You can imagine if we get attached to it, which is very natural and very normal. But the feelings that are there in the spiritual world are even more incredible, and the relationships that are there are even more incredible. And so Krishna, what he did was he left Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. He didn't leave us on our own, because we're living in Kali Yuga when relationships aren't always the best, and the atmosphere isn't the best. Even whereas previously there might have been much greater family, greater care among the living entities here or the people here. Now that seems to be almost lost. We don't know our next door neighbor hardly. We definitely don't know the next door neighbor to our next door neighbor. And so these things are kind of lost, but yet the material world that we're living in is also set up as a place where we can learn and then learn and leave. That's a good thing. Learn and leave. Because there's for something better. But that cannot happen unless anyone give me the answer to that? It cannot happen unless I'll give you a verse, you know, Vishaya Vinivartan Terminala Site, Savarjam Sopyasa, Param Drishtva Nivartite, Rasa Varjam, Rasa. What does rasa mean? A higher taste. See, that's the whole point in Bhagavad Gita, is that we're trying to develop a higher taste for spiritual things. Sometimes people, when they have some distress here in the material world, they never recover. I had a cousin, he was about in his, I knew when he was, you know, I was quite young, but he was in his 20s, 30s, I think. But his mother died when he was much younger. He was never the same again. He could never recover. It was such a trauma for him that he never recovered. And it's very unfortunate. He was still a nice person. He tried his best from time to time. But sometimes the traumas in this life can be too overwhelming. But if we have, the benefit of higher knowledge, if we can, we have to work for this higher knowledge as well. We can't just assume that it's going to happen. But we also have from our previous lifetimes, and because we are, living entities, humans, we do have these qualities innate in us. They're there, but they're covered sometimes. So we try to uncover the humanness in our life, and that's why we do things like chanting, the chanting session afterwards. Chanting, hearing, discussing, because then our higher self comes out. And very nice aspect of ourselves is that we have this spiritual body, which is there. We are the spiritual body, but we don't always connect with it, and we connect with the material self. We identify with the material self. And Bhagavad Gita is the method by which we can
attach.
We can resurrect that spiritual self. We can bring that spiritual self to the fore, and then experience things from a higher platform. We're still, in that sense, we're going to be living in this material body for quite a while, but the more expert we become at yoga, this bhakti yoga, the more, actually, even the better it will be materially. And I met somebody recently, and I've known him quite a while, and he knows my particular occupation. And in my occupation, generally to be successful means that you've made a lot of money, And sometimes I haven't made a lot of money. I've made enough to keep myself, family comfortable, And but when he kind of says, "So how much have you made?" He kind of says it to me in a joking manner. I know he's a kind of spiritual person, but I know what he's kind of saying to me, But I explained to him that no, actually, even sometimes Krishna does, and people don't like to hear this. It's probably, close your ears if you want to be very rich in this world. Sometimes Krishna takes things away.
Exactly.
And it does that because there is a higher taste than having, being rich in this world, and I think we can see that being rich doesn't mean happy. I know an awful lot of George Harrison said, he was one of the richest persons, and in the Beatles, he had fame, he had good looks, he had everything. But he wasn't interested. His last words were, we must always seek after the Spirit, seek after God, he said. So that was his last words. Sorry.
So as you said, sir, that this question has been running in my mind for like almost a year now, and I would like your opinion on that. As you said that sometimes when you start falling in love with Krishna and you move closer to him, he takes material things away from you. Okay, he might take your friends away, might families away, your money away, and then when you have nothing with you, like there's no other means, and you fully devote to Krishna, is when you see his full grace and like you have been completely surrendering into him. But then sometimes there is a little bit of hesitance inside me, like I want to completely surrender to God and Krishna. As I had told you earlier that I was an atheist a year ago, but then I started praying, coming on to right back track. But like I have a little bit hint of fear inside me that if I fully devote or surrender to Krishna, I have my responsibilities to my family, my parents, my friends around. So if Krishna starts taking things away from me, okay, how will I, my family or my friends, or like I have
Isn't that a
responsibility? You
great
get my
question? I just want to ask everybody, isn't that an amazing question? You know.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing.
There's a couple of ways there's a couple of answers to that, in that sense. What I would start on is that there's no one knows us better than Krishna.
It's true. That's true.
He knows us completely, more than we know ourselves.
Yeah.
And he wants us to go back to him.
Yeah.
If he feels that your welfare or relations, that they won't prevent you from going back to God, he'll give you lots of wealth.
Yeah.
You know, he will give all of that to you. He also knows how much and how little, you know, he can work with us.
Yeah.
He will help some ways by giving you a lot of money. He will help by giving you lots of friends.
Yeah.
You know, he will help by having wonderful family relationships. If that doesn't interfere.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's also in the other person's heart as well, you know, so he's
Yeah.
helping them too. So
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
multifaceted.
I never thought that way. That's
Yeah.
true. Rather than taking things away, he can give me excess of things so
Yeah.
that I can still surrender myself to him.
Exactly.
So I
Yeah.
never thought that
Yeah.
way. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair enough.
because he owns it. If he thinks that it will really be beneficial, like there's no way that he won't. You know, he will definitely do that.
Fair enough.
And another way he can do it, if you're rightly situated, say financially, or just I don't want to say financially, but just as an example, if you can use that in the service of God,
True.
that's the greatest thing, because it's ultimately God owns everything.
Yeah.
All the wealth, everything. We
It's
close
his.
our eyes.
Nothing is ours.
Yeah. Not even our next breath is ours. Our blinking of our eyes, or our digestion going on, or
Yeah.
none of these things belong to us. But we are observing those things. And if we learn how to utilize things in the service of God, then everything really works out, because he owns everything anyway. And so the purpose then if you're very, very lucky, that Krishna then brings you into a special seva or servant relationship, which is helping him. And helping him is to helping him help other people realize, become realized their own actual nature. That becomes very very beneficial, and it's like you're tuning into you're on the right tune. You can hear. It's quite amazing, because actually hearing, sometimes we're chanting, but if the perfection of our chanting is that when we're understanding that sound is non-different from God, even in our kirtan, it's actually the Supreme has appeared among us,
Yeah.
just when the Supreme is satisfied. But they're all to do with the developing that higher taste.
Higher taste.
Yeah, and also that we have to be able to, like when we're hearing one's very, very alive, can be very alive, and that's why we have these sessions. But sometimes we're not necessarily hearing, and then we're distracted by so many things, and some things can be very. It can bring the consciousness way down. You knock back several pints of whatever. Sorry, this is an Irish kind of thing. There's an equivalent in every country, but becoming intoxicated, for instance, you completely wreck the whole atmosphere. you know, and your ability to discern things in the right perspective completely diminishes.
Yeah.
So, but we have a taste sometimes for material things, you know, so many things that we have a taste from it that are matter, that we're addicted to, that are coming from a previous lifetime. So we have to deal with that as well. You know, these are things which are going on. We can't really help that. They're coming from a previous lifetime. So we try to regulate ourselves to live in it in a way where we can start to be able to deal with those things, either control them or they actually become dissolved anyway. Those lower tastes, those lower tastes that are there. The whole idea of bhakti, or performing activities of devotion, rather than performing activities just to please our senses, is that bhakti dissolves those lower desires and articulates the higher desires that are there in us. So the whole of the bhakti process is an awakening of our spiritual selves, and that's the situation of self-realization, and it's the position of actual, real, genuine happiness in this world. You know, the happiness then makes us immune to anything else. Really, really good questions. Don't know if there's anything else anyone would like to mention or add or ask. But what I'd like to do now, I'm going to read the next verse if that's okay. It's the second verse and purport. So is everyone ready to tune into this?
Yeah.
Because it's good. The more you can concentrate, the better it is. Because Krishna is actually speaking. You'll hear Krishna saying. Sanyasam iti grahur yogam tam vriti pandava nahyasa nyastat sankalpo yogi bhavati kaschana. What is called renunciation, you should know to be the same as yoga, or linking oneself with the Supreme. O son of Pandu, for one can never become a yogi unless he renounces the desire for sense gratification. Is that what sense gratification? Okay, Prabhupada in the purport. Real sannyas yoga, or bhakti yoga, means that one should know his constitutional position as the living entity and act accordingly. The living entity has no separate, independent identity. He is the marginal energy of the Supreme. When he is entrapped by material energy, he is conditioned. And when he is Krishna conscious or aware of the spiritual energy, then he is in his real and natural state of life. Therefore, when one is in complete knowledge, one ceases all material sense gratification or renounces all kinds of sense gratificatory activities. This is practiced by the yogis who restrain the senses from material attachment. But a person in Krishna consciousness has no opportunity to engage his senses in anything which is not for the purpose of Krishna. Therefore, a Krishna conscious person is simultaneously a sannyasi and a yogi. The purpose of knowledge and of restraining the senses as prescribed in the jnana and yoga process is automatically served in Krishna consciousness. If one is unable to give up the activities of a selfish nature, then jnana and yoga are of no avail. The real aim is for a living entity to give up all selfish satisfaction and to be prepared to satisfy the Supreme. A Krishna conscious person has no desire for any kind of self-enjoyment. He's always engaged for the enjoyment of the Supreme. One who has no information of the Supreme must therefore be engaged in self-satisfaction, because no one can stand on the platform of inactivity. All purposes are perfectly served by the practice of Krishna consciousness. I just wanted to get on to one section there where it says, is this the second last line there? It's 4 lines up. One who has no information of the Supreme must therefore be engaged in self-satisfaction. Can anyone say why that is? This is your $64 question. You know, why is it that one who has no information of the Supreme must therefore be engaged in self-satisfaction? Why does that follow? This is actually science. Spiritual life is science. So it's saying in this scientific presentation that if one doesn't have any information of the Supreme, then one is forced to act for self-satisfaction.
Is it probably because they're still looking? They're just looking in the wrong place.
Oh, that's a very good answer, yeah. It's a very good answer.
Like, is that?
Yeah.
There's the thing about, like, I was listening to a thing a while ago. It's about happiness, and like, I thought this is really good. Like for me anyway. Why are so many people unhappy? It's because they confuse pleasure with happiness.
Oh, good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they say, and you hear it all the time.
Yeah.
People will say, "Donuts make me happy. Football makes me happy. Alcohol makes me happy."
Yeah.
It doesn't make you happy. It gives you pleasure.
Yeah.
And pleasure is nice, but the problem is when you confuse it for a source of happiness, and you
Yeah.
think, I must be happy, or sorry, in order to be happy, I must have my donut and my pint of Guinness.
Yeah.
Whereas the thing is with happiness is, and again, probably open to debate, but happiness is doesn't come externally, it comes internally,
Excellent.
and it's unconditional. Whereas those
Brilliant.
things, the donut and
Yeah.
pint of Guinness, whatever
Yeah.
it is, that's conditional. You
Yeah.
have to have the
Yeah.
donut in front of you.
Yeah.
And like, yes, it's nice, but you also realise that
Yeah.
it's nice, it's pleasurable at that moment,
Yes.
but that's all it is.
Very
And
good.
you can
It's
go,
temporary, in other words.
you can go without
Yeah.
your pint, like you could maybe spill your pint or drop your donut,
Yeah.
but you can still be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
You
good.
ultimately decide.
Yeah.
So I think it's when people think, when you kind of realise, actually it's just a pint, or it's just a donut, doesn't matter if it's fallen or lost or somebody else had it,
Yeah.
you can still be happy, but you're still looking.
Yeah.
It's that thing of it's natural to look and be
Yeah.
always on the lookout for it, and then you realise, oh, you don't, at some point or another. I'm looking in the wrong place,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good answer. Good answer.
And that for me, like, was huge, and I kind of,
Yeah. No, it is. It is really good.
So what you described, isn't that contentment? Like, how would you then define the definition, like the difference between happiness and contentment? Wouldn't contentment be sort of a steady state? Like, I know you mentioned science, so.
I think contentment is when you don't want for anything, and like absolute contentment is being totally satisfied. I'm not, but like happiness could be maybe like you're not. It's just finding the right vocabulary. It's actually careful with semantics. I suppose you can maybe be happy in that you're looking for other things, you're searching for other things. Like you can be happy, like if you're completely content to live in the present moment
So
and
it's
not
like
go out. But then like maybe you can be happy and come here tonight. You know what I mean? Because you're looking to get something from this. I mean, we're all here because we're looking to get something from this. So, I mean, and maybe some of us are more or less happy than others. But you might be content and say, I don't need that. I don't need for anything. I think that's. I get like I'm not an expert. I'll just
It's
be a
basic.
person.
Okay, that's a very very comment.
it's like basically it's like a person can be content only if he stops looking for something more. It's like for example, as the verse says that a person who has no knowledge of Supreme will then engage in self-satisfaction. But for example, as he said that people can get happy with alcohol or dancing in a pub, but they don't have any knowledge that bhakti or praying to God gives you greater sense of satisfaction. So, like, if I have no
Yeah.
knowledge of Supreme, then
Yeah.
that's the thing that I'll engage in.
That's one of the main point that's there, because if you don't realize that that I am a servant of the Supreme and the Supreme is also there, and if I think that there isn't a Supreme, or if I think that somehow or other, I don't know what you think. If you don't think there's a Supreme, you probably think there's nothing there or whatever, then you're going to somehow or other, even if it's subtle, you're going to try to somehow or other satisfy your senses, because that's all you have. You don't have the real knowledge that you are the servant of the Supreme, and by serving the Supreme, you know, by that's like reconnecting with the Supreme Source of everything, because that's the real happiness. By reconnecting with that source, then you as you said, you won't be looking for something somewhere else. That's number one. But that is the position of the happiness of the living entity, is when he's reconnected with the Supreme. When he's not connected with the Supreme, then that person is, because our nature is Satchidananda, like we're always looking for pleasure. That is the nature of the living entity. That's our nature. But it's looking for it in the wrong place, you know.
I think as well, I remember before somebody said, when we talk about like love and hate, somebody said hate is actually a kind of love. It's a kind of a twisted love, you know, that comes after a difficult or challenging experience. You know, it morphs into something else.
Yeah.
And I think especially like now, these days, when there are so many pleasures out there, like material pleasures out there, people kind of resort to them, and I've been guilty of it myself, resorting to these out of a kind of, you know, relationship you have with the Supreme. It's maybe a reaction against not finding the Supreme.
Yeah. It's an interesting point you're bringing up there, because the hate, because there's a specific section in the Bhagavad Gita. It's in the 3rd chapter, which talks about one of the things which prevent us from seeing the Supreme, from connecting with the Supreme, and it is part of the reason that we are here in that sense too. I think that's one of the reasons that we are here is because we have a kind of a desire to occupy the position of the Supreme. You know, it doesn't seem on the face, I'm not the Supreme, but if you can pare everything back, you'll see that is the and Krishna talks about it. He calls it Kama Aisha, Krodha Aisha. He says that and they're interconnected. It's interesting the way you connected the two. It's first of all is Kama, which is lust, and is lust only, Arjuna, which is the all-devouring enemy of the soul. That's going on, and when lust is not satisfied, then it turns into anger. You know, so that's another thing which is going on, which the chanting really works on. Is that, and funnily, it's the same thing again. It's if we can put our desires into understanding, to connecting with the Supreme, that's the position of supreme happiness. Whereas if we don't have a Supreme, we will be looking somewhere else. It'll be and it won't be apparent to us. And so when that cannot be satisfied, then that turns into anger. And here's another kind of amazing thing. Even that lust isn't actually wrong, because it's only a perverted form of what our love is in the spiritual world. You know, it's just here, it's not in its pure form. But in the spiritual world, it is in its pure form. So when we learn how to experience that pure form of love in this world, then we're already in the spiritual world. So it's kind of like a paring back of all the things which are there. We don't deny our individuality, because it comes back to that the living entity is by nature ananda mayo vyasha. It means that we are by nature pleasure seeking. That is the nature of us as a part of God. Because that's how we relate with God, you know, and He relates with us as well.
I think the main crux is about realization, like when you or how you realize that, like as I mentioned, like he mentioned around the happiness, that is also happiness which is going on until you realize that this is not the happiness, right? So that verse comes in, like, you know, without knowledge or without more knowledge or upper hierarchies. So until we realize I'm happy, until I hit the bottom, like in my life, my job, and then I start finding answers of where it is. lies in Krishna.
Yeah.
It depends on how, when, where.
Yeah. The Krishna's working with each of us all the time. He's the best teacher, you know, but a lot of the time we don't like, no, I don't. No, I blame it on him, he did this to me, or, you know, sometimes we blame people for something that he did to us. But if we can develop a vision to see that, no, there's only you and God, and this is all happening. They're only agents for our learning, you know, and that will help us more.
Yeah, if I was in my 20s, like, you know, if he was teaching me, I might not get this information because I was playing cricket, doing my things, and that is happiness for me at that time, like, you know. But now, over the time, I met you guys and then realized, okay, no, this is another thing or another level of happiness as well.
Yeah, my version of that as well is that there's so much distraction in the world as well today, you know. So many things which will distract us. But if somehow or other, you know, I was fortunate enough along the way, and I'm sure all of you have been as well, that you actually get absorbed in something, in spirit, you know, and in spiritual knowledge, and that can knock away any distractions, whatever they are. It's more powerful than anything, and that's Krishna's appearing in that way. So he's the most attractive. So he's attracting us more than anybody. And we do that by a lot of chanting, you know, the chanting, hearing, discussing. That's where the real attraction is, you know. And so that's very well spun. And that just gets better and better and better and better and better until we reach the spiritual dimension, and then we see the supreme face to face, which is what's ahead of us. I'm not aware of the time. Is there any last comment from anybody, or thank you so much, everybody, for all those contributions. They were very enlightening. I think when a discussion goes on, it just churns up more and more, you know, the real nature of things, and then we can all experience it, you know. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki Jai. So we got verse 2 today, so next week we'll go from 3 to 10. Anyone who wants to come on, would be great. The last few weeks we've been a bit low on kirtaniyas, so I think that's for people to chant. So I'm going around the room and asking people to sing along at different times. So please do if you can, if you know. But and also sometimes, hopefully, more people will come along to chant. The last few weeks I haven't had a sore throat, but I'm just kind of getting over it at the moment. Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sundamani Vaskataja Shatarine Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Everybody again. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare This time try putting your hands in the air. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, last time, hands in there, and put your heart into this one. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Rama Hare everybody. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare One more time. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama just thought I'd read something from, guess what? From the Krishna book. Because we're talking about Krishna all the time, isn't it? We keep on talking. So who is Krishna? You know, what sort of a person is he? Because we're trying to get to know Krishna, and no better place than to start. Just think. So are you ready for a story?
Yes.
Okay. This is the Krishna book. I'm just going to start it. This is an interesting time. It's called The Stealing of the Boys and the Cows by Brahma. Okay, it's on chapter 13 of the Krishna book. Shukadeva Goswami was very much encouraged when Maharaj Parikshit asked him why the cowherd boys did not discuss the death of Aghasura until after 1 year had passed. He explained it thus: "My dear king, you are making the subject matter of transcendental pastimes of Krishna fresher by your inquisitiveness. It is said that it is the nature of a devotee to constantly apply his mind, energy, words, ears, etc. in hearing and chanting about Krishna. This is called Krishna consciousness. And for one who is wrapped in hearing and chanting about Krishna, the subject matter never becomes hackneyed or old. That is the significance of transcendental subject matter, in contrast to material subject matter. Material subject matter becomes stale, and one cannot hear a certain subject for a long time. He wants to change. But as far as transcendental subject matter is concerned, it is called Nitya Nava Navai Amana. This means that one can go on chanting and hearing about the Lord and never feel tired, but remain fresh and eager to hear more and more. It is the duty of the spiritual master to disclose all confidential subject matter to the inquisitive and sincere disciple. The Shukadeva Goswami began to explain why the killing of Aghasura was not discussed until 1 year had passed. Shukadeva Goswami told the king, "Now hear of this secret with attention. After saving his friends from the mouth of Aghasura and killing the demon, Lord Krishna brought his friends to the bank of the Yamuna and addressed them as follows. My dear friends, just see how much this spot is very nice for taking lunch and playing on the soft, sandy Yamuna bank. You can see how the lotus flowers in the water are beautifully blown and how they distribute their fragrance all around. The chirping of the birds, along with the cooing of the peacocks, surrounded by the whispering of the leaves in the trees, combine and present sound vibrations that echo one another. And this just enriches the beautiful scenery created by the trees here. Let us have our lunch in this spot, because it is already late and we are feeling hungry. Let the calves remain near us and let them drink water from the Yamuna while we engage in our lunch taking. The calves may engage in eating the soft grasses that are in this spot." On hearing this proposal from Krishna, all the boys became very glad and said, "Certainly, let us all sit down here to take our lunch." They then let loose the calves to eat the soft grass, and sitting down on the ground and keeping Krishna in the center, they began to open their lunch boxes brought from home. Lord Sri Krishna was seated in the center of the circle, and all the boys kept their faces toward him. They ate and constantly enjoyed seeing the Lord face to face. Krishna appeared to be the whorl of the lotus flower, and the boys surrounding him appeared to be in different petals. The boys collected flowers, leaves of flowers, and the bark of trees and placed their lunch on them, as well as in their lunch boxes, and they thus began to eat their lunch, keeping company with Krishna. While taking lunch, each boy began to manifest different kinds of relations with Krishna, and they enjoyed each other's company with joking words. While Lord Krishna was thus enjoying lunch with his friends, his flute was pushed between his belt of his cloth on his right hand side, and his bugle and cane were pushed in on the left hand side of his cloth. In his left palm he was holding a lump of fruit prepared with yogurt, butter, rice, and pieces of fruit salad, which could be seen through the petal-like finger joints. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who accepts the results of all great sacrifices, was laughing and joking, enjoying lunch with his friends in Vrindavan, and thus the scene was being observed by the demigods from heaven. As for the boys, they were simply enjoying transcendental bliss in the company of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At that time, the calves that were pasturing nearby entered into the deep forest, allured by new grasses, and gradually went out of sight. When the boys saw that the calves were not nearby, they became afraid for their safety, and they immediately cried out, "Krishna! Krishna is the killer of fear personified." Everyone is afraid of fear personified, but fear personified is afraid of Krishna. By crying out the word Krishna, the boys at once transcended the fearful situation. Out of his great affection, Krishna did not want his friends to give up their pleasing lunch engagement and go searching for the calves. He therefore said, "My dear friends, you need not interrupt your lunch. Go on enjoying. I am going personally to find the calves." Thus Lord Krishna, still carrying the lump of yogurt and rice preparation in his left hand, immediately started to search out the calves in the caves and bushes. He searched in the mountain holes and in the forests, but nowhere could he find them. At that time, when Aghasura was killed, and the demigods were looking on at the incident with great surprise, Brahma, who was born from the lotus flower growing out of the navel of Vishnu, also came to see. He was surprised how a little boy like Krishna could act so wonderfully. Although he was informed that the little cowherd boy was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he wanted to see more of the Lord's glorious pastimes, and thus he stole all the calves and cowherd boys and took them to a different place. Lord Krishna, therefore, in spite of searching for the calves, could not find them, and he even lost his boyfriends on the bank of the Yamuna, where they had been taking their lunch in the form of a cowherd boy. Lord Krishna was very little in comparison to Brahma, but because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he could immediately understand that all the calves and boys had been stolen by Brahma. Krishna thought, Brahma has taken away all the boys and calves. How can I alone return to Vrindavan? The mothers will be aggrieved. Therefore, in order to satisfy the mothers of his friends, as well as to convince Brahma of the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he immediately expanded himself as the cowherd boys and cows. In the Vedas, it is said that the Supreme Personality of Godhead has already expanded himself into so many living entities by his energy. Therefore, it was not very difficult for him to expand himself again into so many boys and calves. He expanded himself to become exactly like the boys, who were all of different features and facial and bodily constructions, and who were different in their clothing and ornaments and in their behavior and personal activities. In other words, although each boy, being an individual soul, had entirely different tastes, activities, and behavior, Krishna exactly expanded himself into all the different positions of the individual boys. He also became the calves, who were also of different sizes, colors, activities, etc. This was possible because everything is an expansion of Krishna's energy. In the Vishnu Purana, it is said, Parasya Brahmana Shakti. Whatever we actually see in the cosmic manifestation, be it matter or the activities of the living entities, is simply an expansion of the energies of the Lord, as heat and light are the different expansions of fire. Thus, expanding himself as the boys and calves in their individual capacities, and surrounded by such expansions of himself, Krishna entered the village of Vrindavan. The residents had no knowledge of what had happened. After entering the village of Vrindavan, all the calves entered their respective cowsheds, and the boys went to the respective mothers' at homes. The mothers of the boys heard the vibration of their flutes before their entrance, and to receive them, they came out of their homes and embraced them. And out of maternal affection, milk was flowing from their breasts, and they allowed the boys to drink it. However, their offering was not exactly to their boys, but to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who had expanded himself into such boys. This was a chance for all the mothers of Vrindavan to feed the Supreme Personality of Godhead with their own milk. Therefore, not only did Lord Krishna give Yashoda the chance to feed him, but this time he gave the chance to all the other elder gopis. All the boys dealt with their mothers as usual, and the mothers also, on the approach of evening, bathed their respective children, decorated them with tilak and ornaments, and gave them necessary food after the day's labour. The cows also, who had been away in the pasturing ground, returned in the evening and called their respective calves. The calves immediately came to their mothers, and the mothers began to lick the bodies of the calves. These relations of the cows and the gopis with their calves and boys remained unchanged, although actually the original cows and boys were not there. Actually, the cows' affection for the calves and the elder gopis' affection for the boys causelessly increased. Their affection increased naturally, even though the calves and boys were not their offspring. Although the cows and elder gopis of Vrindavan had greater affection for Krishna than for their own offspring, after this incident, their affection for their offspring increased unlimitedly, exactly as it did for Krishna. For 1 year continuously, Krishna himself expanded as the calves and cowherd boys and was present in the pasturing ground. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's expansion is situated in everyone's heart as a super soul. But in this case, instead of expanding himself as a super soul, he expanded himself as a portion of the cows and cowherd boys for 1 continuous year. One day, a few days before a year had passed, Krishna and Balaram were maintaining the cows in the forest when they saw some cows grazing on the top of Govardhan Hill. The cows could see down into the valley where the cows were being taken care of by the boys. Suddenly, on sighting the cows began to run toward them. They leaped down a hill with joined front and rear legs. The cows were so melted with affection for the calves that they did not care about the rough path from the top of the Govardhan Hill down to the pasturing ground. They approached the calves with their milk bags full of milk, and they raised their tails upwards. When they were coming down the hill, their milk bags were pouring milk on the ground out of intense maternal affection for the cows, although they were not their own cows. These cows had their own cows, and the cows that were grazing beneath Govardhan Hill were larger. They were not expected to drink milk directly from the milk bag, but were satisfied with the grass. Yet all the cows came immediately and began to lick their bodies, and the cows also began to suck milk from the milk bags. There appeared to be a great bond of affection between the cows and the calves. When the cows were running down from the top of Govardhan Hill, the men who were taking care of them tried to stop them. Older cows are taken care of by the men, and the calves are taken care of by the boys as far as possible. The calves are kept separate from the cows so that the calves do not drink all the available milk. Therefore, the men who were taking care of the cows on the top of Govardhan Hill tried to stop them, but they failed. Baffled by their failure, they were feeling ashamed and angry. They were very unhappy, but when they came down and saw their children taking care of the cows, they were all of a sudden, they became very affectionate toward their children. It was very astonishing. Although the men came down disappointed, baffled and angry, as soon as they saw their own children, their hearts melted with great affection. At once their anger, dissatisfaction and unhappiness disappeared. They began to show paternal love for their children, and with great affection they lifted them in their arms and embraced them. They began to smell their children's heads and enjoy their company with great happiness. After embracing their children, the men took the cows back to the top of Govardhan Hill, and along the way they began to think of their children with affectionate tears from their eyes. This is the last part. When Balaram saw this extraordinary change of affection between the cows and the calves, and between the fathers and their children, when neither the calves nor the children needed so much care, he began to wonder why this extraordinary thing had happened. He was astonished to see all the residents of Vrindavan so affectionate toward their own children, exactly as they had been to Krishna. Similarly, the cows had grown affectionate to the calves as much as to Krishna. Balaram therefore concluded that the extraordinary show of affection was something mystical, either performed by the demigods or by some powerful man. Otherwise, how could this wonderful change take place? He concluded this mystical change must have been caused by Krishna, whom Balaram considered his worshipful Supreme Personality of Godhead. He thought, it was arranged by Krishna, and even I could not check its mystic power. Thus Balaram understood that all these boys and calves were only expansions of Krishna. So there's another part to that. But I'll let you finish off that yourself. It's in the Krishna book, chapter 13. It tells about Lord Brahma who comes back and sees what happened, and then he becomes confused. But we're just coming to the finish, so we'll just do one more kirtan and then we'll stop. Okay? Okay, very well. Did you like the story? It's good. Some of these stories are amazing, actually. But I just wanted to stop and just to say that that's the person that we're singing to. We're singing his name all the time, Krishna. That's the Supreme Personality God. That's the kind of things he does in the spiritual world. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Thank you, everybody. So, we're going to have some prashadam now, some biscuits. So hope you enjoy the biscuits. Hare Krishna.